أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات وبعد. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having blessed us by allowing us to be among the ummah of Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We continue to state categorically that the greatest mercy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have bestowed upon any of us as His creation is to be numbered among the ummah of Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not left us without guidance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not left us without guidance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent His final message, the Quran, and He sent with this book a man to accompany the book to show us how we should navigate through the course of life. So we have no difficulty, but the difficulty will only be present when we deny following the sunnah, the way of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. That is where difficulty comes. Because we have the Quran, but we must be committed to follow the detailed instruction, the guidance that Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam came with. You can't get one without the other. If you have the Quran by itself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, gave this kitab, but He has given us a human being because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that we would need to understand certain things, certain details. So He put a man to say, do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. Because if it was left to each and every one of us to find our own way, this one say this, that one do that, and this one follow it. Everybody have their own opinion. Everybody have their own way and their own ideas. That is a recipe for discord and dysfunction. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, He said a perfect example, the best example among any human being, the best among creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used him to show us how we should function. So there is no question. There is no question about how we should move forward. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, from the time He created the heavens and the earth, as He has put 12 months for this year, for a year. And Ramadan is the 9th month that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered. In order is the 9th month. And the purpose of Ramadan is for us as Muslims to commemorate and remember the mercy that He has given us in the Quran. So Ramadan is the month that we should spend, involved, immersed in recitation of the Quran in every way possible. So we have Shaban, the month before Ramadan, having a special purpose in the life of this ummah. Today is the 15th day of Shaban. Last night was the 15th night, because in Islam, night comes before day. And last night was a very special night in the life of a Muslim on a year-to-year basis. Shaban, 15th night of Shaban. Very, very, very important month, very important night in a very important month. On this night, we have this hadith is reported both in Imam al-Tirmidhi and Imam Ibn Majah. This particular hadith and the other hadith I like to quote is reported by Imam Ibn Majah. And it says to the effect, the beloved messenger, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, is reported to have said, verily, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends to the lowest firmament on the night of the middle of Shaban and forgives more sins than the hairs of the goat of the Kalb. That is a tribe that was known for the numerous amount of goats that they possess. So he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives more sins on that night than the amount of hairs on the animals of this Kalb tribe. And they were a tremendous amount of animals. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to forgive. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes, he makes it easy now, giving us access to to make tawbah towards him. Giving us access. We know on every night, in the last third of the night, the time when tahajjud is mostly performed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gives us that opportunity of access to him in a special way. But in this night, the 15th night of Shaban, last night, was given a very, very important role. But there's another hadith that was reported in Ibn Majah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives, but there is a condition attached. The beloved messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam is reported to have said, when the night of the middle of Shaban comes, spend the night in prayer, ibadat, and fast the day, the following day, fast the day. For verily, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends at sunset to the lowest firmament and says, is there no one seeking forgiveness that I may forgive him? Is there no one seeking assistance that I may provide for him? Is there no one afflicted that I may grant him relief? Is there not such and such? Is there not such and such? That goes on till dawn. But there's a condition attached, as we mentioned. The condition attached is that we should not be practicing shirk, joining partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should not be harboring enmity for one another. We should not be harboring enmity for one another because we do not qualify. You're making big dua and all kind of things, asking Allah for forgiveness, but we have enmity between each other. So just as a mushrik is not don't qualify, the Muslim who has enmity to his brother don't qualify for forgiveness. Hold them in abeyance until they make peace between themselves. Hold them in abeyance. So if you have warring factions or people toting hate for one another, unless you could resolve that issue, you don't qualify. In spite of all the mercies, all the forgiveness. This is so important because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala understands what undermines the brotherhood of Islam. He understands what undermines the brotherhood of Islam. Fitna, hostility, anger and hatred for each other. We have a clear example in the first murder that took place among mankind. Cain killing Abel, the sons of Adam, alayhi salam. Why? Because Allah accepted from one his sacrifice and not from the other. So as a result of the hate that grew in his heart towards his brother, he committed the first capital offense, murder. So enmity destroys brotherhood. Hatred and disunity, those things fester and undermine and destroy the brotherhood and the community. So Allah knows that. So He says, everybody will be forgiven who asks for forgiveness, but He holding back. And the people who are mushrik, and those who hold enmity for each other. So we need to ensure that we resolve all our differences in order for us to qualify for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness. This is so important because otherwise our amals, our deeds will be of no value. Our deeds would have no value because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have discounted us as how He has discounted the mushrikeen, those who join partners with Him. If we have hate for one another. So this takes place in Shaban because now we have to prepare for Ramadan. So Shaban is the training month, if you want to put it that way, for Ramadan. We want to go into Ramadan to gain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's barakah, His blessings. So Shaban now, before Ramadan, comes as a training period for us to get ourselves in a gear for Ramadan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us all the answers. He has sent His messenger to give us the solutions for our problems. But our nafs, our desires, undermines and it causes us not to want to change. So you have somebody who have issues and they would not bury the hatchet. They want to continue year after year after year, toting the same negative vibes, negative vibes. So it is no secret that we would have discounted ourselves from the opportunity for blessings from Allah Azza wa Jal if we do not get rid of that garbage in our hearts, because that is what keeping back everything in it. Because brotherhood, you could never be a true believer, never, until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. unless you love each other. And there's another hadith tells us to the effect that you could never enter Jannah unless he is a believer. And you could never be a believer until you love one another. You could never be a believer until you love one another. So we have to examine what is in our breast. This heart, that is what we have to examine and see if that heart is geared towards purification or it remains a garbage heap, a cesspool of hatred, enmity among one another. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us Islam. He has made us the best people. But the best people must follow the way of the Rasul. And the Rasul instructs us to build the brotherhood. The Sahaba, Ikram, they understood the message. They understood the message about brotherhood. That they preferred each other among them before themselves, although they were in a state of poverty and need. They were in a state of poverty and need, yet they preferred their brother above themselves. All of us know the stories of the Sahaba. This Sahaba, invited a brother who he knows had nothing to eat. But he tell his wife, what we have? He said, well, we have much, but he said, whatever we have, organize it and bring him to dinner. So it was a very small amount of food. Yet he wanted his brother to benefit. So he sat with his brother to eat. And the tradition, they have one bowl and so on, one plate. And most of them eat in the Sunnah style. And he now started playing fixing the lamp, the little light they had. And it ended up falling down and things. So he said, forget that light, we go eat. Let me go ahead and eat. And he playing eating, mouth beating, he playing eating, and the other brother eating the food. He playing eating, he making noise and like he eating food. And the brother eating all the food. Because a little bit of food. He preferred his brother above himself. That is, they understood what is brotherhood. They understood it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevated them. And there were several other stories, too many to mention, of the extent of brotherhood among the early community. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them among the best of mankind. He gave them the credentials of being the best community that has arisen out of mankind. So for us to be of a level, even something, fragmentally, a fraction of what they have, we have to ensure that we put in our hearts the love for each other. The love for each other, that is the secret in Islam. Because you can never be a believer unless you love one another. It's clear as daylight. Can never be a believer, and that is not what I said. That is the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So let us not fool ourselves. Let us not fool ourselves. We need to always do an audit on our niyat, our intentions. Somebody posted that earlier today about the importance of niyat, intention. Making sure that we keep checking and double checking our intention towards our actions. Continuously, because we might start off with the correct intention, But then the shaitan now is, he will visit us in the midst of our actions and try to corrupt our actions by derailing us from our pure intention, fi sabilillah, purely for Allah. So we need to always make sure that we check our intention. And the analogy that the person who posted said, he says, you might be going in the masjid, you say, I'm going to make 2 rakats to the pleasure of Allah. But when you reach in the masjid now, all of a sudden, when you start to pray now, you realize people watching you. So you start to make a sajda long, you start to make sure big long, and when you're done, you make a big dua. Because you have what you have done now, you allow your nafs to get in the play, and shaitan use that opportunity now to cause the change from doing it purely for Allah, but they started to do it now for other people who are watching you. So that's why it's so important that we ensure that our actions are done in a way that we continuously police our intention. Continuously check and double check our intentions. Because it is easy for us to be derailed. That is the skill of the shaitan. The shaitan will not come looking for us. He ain't looking for we no nightclub. We are going there. We are catching in the casino. We're not going there. We're going to catch we. We're going to do the masjid. When you go and give charity. So you start to give charity now, and all of a sudden, you start to feel good about yourself. Right? And a man started to say, boy, that man real generous boy. And it started to go to your head. So as Muslims, we always need to ensure that our intentions are in accordance with what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we are on the road, we are a few, right now the full moon has been completed, and now it's going down towards the next new moon, which is Ramadan. So we have probably about 2 weeks. We have about 2 weeks to put ourselves in a state of preparation for the month of Ramadan. It is important, even though we might have some health challenges and we might not be dealing with the fast, we might be paying, the fidya, so, for whoever, needs and so on and so forth. We might be doing that. Nevertheless, we should treat the Ramadan as though we are fasting, even though we might have health issues. We must always be in a state of trying to use the month to purify ourselves. So Allah might give me the compensation aspect, feed the indigent and so on, to compensate for the fast. But we have other things we could do. Spend as much time as possible with the Quran. To become close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Give extra charity other than what we just give to compensate for the fast. And do other actions that will help us to become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this deen is good advice. Nasiya. That's what Islam is about. Advice, good advice. But the advice will only be accepted by those who fear Allah. It would be avoided by the most unfortunate ones who would enter the fire. But it's our duty to admonish each other. And we shouldn't be thin-skinned. A man admonish you and you're watching him as though he's your enemy. If that's the brother who's maybe that's the man trying to save you from yourself. You're not dragging into the fire. And that might be the brother who say, Aki, where you going in the fire to do, man? I'm a prophet. Be the admonition. Some people might have a wrong approach. The proper admonition, because you have to do it with hikmah. You can't just come and say, well, Aki, you're supposed to make 2 rakats sooner before your part. Aki, you don't talk to that brother so. No. You don't talk to that brother so. Show him the value of the 2 rakats. And don't feel you could buff him into making the prayer. Or what he might be doing is pushing him away from you. You want to do good enough? Have all intention of what the brother get back. But if you're going like a bull in a China shop, and you just reckon, you're destroying the whole place and you feel you're doing good. Everything have a way. Hikmah is part of this deen. You might say, brother, he's doing something wrong. But it's how you approach him to correct him, make a big difference. Big difference. So that is part of the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. How to treat with each other. He showed us strategy, how to be kind to one another, how to be gentle with one another. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell him to defend that if you were harsh with them, you would have all departed. Gentle believers. Harsh against the rejectors. Have a little bit of harsh, but against the rejectors. Not even people who might be struggling to improve their condition. They know rejectors. We took quick. Sometimes one of our might need a proper advice, proper direction. And he might be a better Muslim than you could ever be. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides him to do it. So all this is part of the learning curve, the learning process. You can't feel that you have to always have the sledgehammer approach everything. You see a mosquito, you're using a sledgehammer to kill it. A sledgehammer is not to kill a mosquito. To break down a wall or bust concrete or something. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to allow us to benefit from what is in front of us this month of Ramadan. And remember when the Prophet made 3 du'as and Jibreel said, Ameen. One of them was, woe to the person who sees the month of Ramadan and don't get forgiven. Woe to the person who sees the month of Ramadan and does not benefit by forgiveness. And Jibreel said, Ameen. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us all our shortcomings. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barak wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barak wa sallam. We need to keep our eyes focused on what is taking place among the Ummah. But this brotherhood of ours is a single brotherhood. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our Rabb and cherisher. We have a situation that has been taking place in our face over the last 16, 18 months, Palestine. In our face, because it's on the it's on Facebook, it's on the picture, it's on the screen, TikTok, wherever, it's in your face on a daily basis. So we're looking at the latest developments that is taking place. And it's very important as Muslims that we understand its significance. What is the significance of that area? That is the site of the third holiest site in Islam. It is the place that the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used as the launching pad to make the mirage to the heavens. It's our first Qibla as a community, as a people, as Muslims. First Qibla. And what we know is that the Zionists, whether they are among the Jews or the Christians or whoever else, but they are Zionists among Jews and Christians, who are hell-bent on getting that property. That property has been fought over, the most fought over piece of real estate in the world. How much crusades and battles and that going on for thousands and thousands of years. For that space. So the plan now is all the resistors, all resisting to get them out of that space. All who resisting, get them out of that space. Whether they call themselves Hamas, whether they call themselves what, whatever name you call yourself, so long as you're resisting the intention of taking that property, you will be persona non grata. They want to get you out of there as long as they have you in the way. You stand up, in the face, and you say no. So Donald, before his last election, he approached the Muslims and tell the Muslims, I'm in America, I'm going to stop the war. And the Muslims, when they watch all the big imams in all these different places, tell the people, well, Biden stopped, gave you that commitment. This lady who going up Kamala gave you that commitment. But Trump said he will stop the war. So let us support Trump. So the Muslims went and dipped the finger. I know they did the finger in the ink tube update, but they went and they voted solid behind Trump because they believed and they buy into this thing that he will stop the war. But already knew that the war, that part of the war was concluded. That aspect of the war was concluded because they have already bombed into nothingness all these people places. They had no place to live. So now, plan B kick in now, which is their plan now to encourage the Muslims in the area, Saudi, Jordan, Egypt, all of them on that in the verge, to empty out Gaza. Take them people. We could give them a nice house and give them a little change. But we don't want them there. And Trump now somebody going to build something called a version of the French Riviera, where they have a nice beachfront and build all the high-rise and hotels and everything nice, so that they could come and play in Gaza. So the intention is to get the Muslims out. Why? Because the Muslims stand in defiance of their plan of setting up the greater Israel. Trump said last week, this little piece of land that all are calling Israel, that ain't not enough. Time to extend. Time to extend. So we go, get them out of Gaza, then we get them out of the West Bank, and then we're going to be pushing all the weak Muslims out of the area that we consider to be greater Israel. You see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the Muslims the understanding of their game plan. And that is why we represent the greatest threat to the system of Tawhid. Because we understand. We understand them. But they intimidate the Muslims into silence. or they buy them out. So now they're threatening Jordan. They say we give only $1.9 billion in aid every year. If you do not support our program, we're going to stop giving you money. So they bring the King Hussein of Jordan in White House and make him a little boy, where he sit down there like a loopy dog, and Trump saying, I go and build I go and just take Gaza as my own property. America owns this. Games. Same thing, they watch Sisi in Egypt, and so we just give you 1.5 billion every year in aid. No money unless you empty Gaza. So now they tell Saudi the same thing. They tell Saudi, look, you have plenty land. Take them. Get them out, because these people say we not leaving. And the people went in the rubble, and they take all the old stone and thing and make a little shelter, make a little lean-to, puppies a tarpaulin on it, and say, that is my house, I'm staying right here. Rain, sun, or shine. So we as Muslims must understand what is taking place and do not do like the proverbial ostrich. Put your head in the sand and your whole big body outside, and you feel you're hiding. So we as Muslims need to be firm, stand resolute in the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in spite of all what they say and what they do, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has the final decision in every matter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who decides the end of everything, not them. Not them, because they feel they have greenbacks and they could use it to buy Muslim and sell, trade it, use it as to buy people. No. As Muslims, we have to remain firm, because it's a test of Iman. And if we abandon these people on the day of Qiyamah, we have to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and explain why we have abandoned the defenders of Quds, the defenders of Al-Aqsa. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give a victory to the believers. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enlighten us, protect us from the enemies of Allah, whose plan is to put their foot on the neck of the believers. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallam. اللهم صل على سيدنا الفاتح المغلق والخاتم لما سبقنا سابق الحق بالحق والهادي الى صراطك المستقيم وعلى اله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين واقم الصلاة.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة فالقوم بالصلاة فالقوم الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Part of the perfection of the salah is the straightness of the lines. Make sure a line is straight and tight. Allah doesn't like anything crooked, not even a line. Allahu Akbar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim. Ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Al-Qaryatu mal-Qaryah. Wa ma adraka mal-Qaryah. Yawma yakunun nasu kal-farashil mabthus. Wattakunul jibalu kal-ihnil manfush. Fa amma man thaqulat mawazinu fa huwa fi 'ishatin radiyah. Wa amma man khaffat mawazinu fa ummuhu hawiyah. Wa ma adraka ma hiya. Allahu Akbar. Sami'allahu liman hamidah. Allahu Akbar. Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim. Ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Alam nashrah laka sadrak wa wada'na anka wizrak alladhi anqadha dhakrak wa rafa'na laka dhikrak fa inna ma'al usri yusra fa idza faraghta fansab wa ila rabbika farghab. Allahu Akbar. Sami'allahu liman hamidah. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, brothers and sisters. We have a couple announcements. Next week, Saturday, which is the 22nd, inshallah, the sisters' arm will be embarking on a cleanup exercise in preparation for the holy month of Ramadan. We will be doing some cleanup in the kitchen area. So they are asking sisters who are available, those who can, to come out and assist with the cleanup campaign, inshallah. The Brothers' Arm would like to thank those who supported and donated towards their first fundraising efforts. It was indeed a successful one. And if I had the money, I would have bought 6 instead of 2. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to bless each and every one of you. Training continues every Monday and Wednesday after Asr Salah. The San Fernando branch, Masjid al-Mukarrabin, is having a barbecue, which is also on next week Saturday, inshallah. The cost is only $50. Tickets are available at the office.